Growing up. Hi. I don't really know where to start. I'm having trouble. Do I start at childhood, teenage years, when I left? I don't know. So we're just kind of gonna see where this takes us. I think my story is important because I had a good experience overall of being a Jehovah's Witness. I had a good congregation. I traveled a lot. I met a lot of people. Well, there are a lot of cool witnesses out there. There's a lot of weird ones, but there's a lot of cool ones too. A lot of people opened up their homes to me. I had a good time. However, I don't think it's worth staying in it. And I think I've built a life for myself that I'm proud of and that I feel is successful. And it's kind of a slap in the face to the Watchtower organization that you can leave and you will be okay. I am here to tell you, you will be okay. I woke up when I was about 18, 19 years old. I'd say more than 19. I started waking up by watching YouTube and Facebook videos. There's people sharing their stories, how they left, why they left, how they were treated, things they saw wrong about the organization, scriptures that they discovered that were just entirely interpreted completely off book. It just opened my eyes years before I left, years. And I think that's so important because a lot of people now, they are what we call PIMO. So PIMI is physically in, mentally in. PIMO is physically in, mentally out. So PIMO is really common, and I didn't realize until I left how many people are PIMO. How many people are physically in the religion at meetings, but like mentally they know that it's wrong. They know that it's not what they believe in. They know that if it really came down to it, you know, do they really support what the organization says, but are they willing to risk losing all their family and friends? And I don't blame them for not. I don't blame them at all. I don't blame anyone who hasn't left or maybe doesn't even plan on leaving or whatever, because originally when I wanted to leave years ago, I was thinking like, oh, I'll stay in until my grandparents die and then I can leave. Can you? That's crazy. I love my grandparents so much. I love my family so much. When I was 19 years old, I was going on a trip to Mexico. It was like right before I turned 18 with my cousin, and it was my first trip there. We wanted to like look up some witnesses in Mexico, like on Facebook or Instagram, or like try to track down people so we could like connect with them once we got there, say, hey, I came across, if you are an ex-Jehovah's Witness and you're familiar with a lot of like YouTube JW activists, ex-JW activists, Mark Cora, their videos, they're a couple from the UK. Those were the first videos I ever found. I found a video of Cora. She was telling a story about her grandchildren and just her disfellowshipping experience, how people treated her. Complete spoof, because I wasn't even looking in the UK, I was looking in Mexico. I don't know how I came across it. I don't remember. I watched this video and I just got so enthralled. I stayed up all night. I stayed up till like 4 a.m. And then I came across like other ex-JW videos, and it was just like this whole world opened up. I was hearing things that I wasn't supposed to be hearing or watching. And then I kind of forgot about it. I just kind of like pushed it out of my head because, I don't know, watching these videos in secret, on and off, for probably 3 years. I would watch these videos, and I would write down notes. I would write down conflicting scriptures in the Bible. I would write down like JW teachings and then the scripture that proved them wrong, the real interpretation of the scripture, different translation. Oh my god, so many things. My mind was just constantly being blown, and then I would just push it to the back of my head and just totally forget about it, because there was no way that I could leave. It just wasn't in the cards for me. I loved my friends. I had a great friend group growing up. But then things started really clicking. I remember when I first learned about blood transfusions. So if you're unfamiliar, Jehovah's Witnesses don't believe in taking blood transfusions. In fact, many have died from not taking them. I believe it's an Awake that has a cover of just children's photos that have died. Photos of children that have died from not taking blood transfusions and praising them. It's disgusting, really. And it's so sad. And to this day, there's still like cases to where JW children been taken away from the mother. They were willing to let them die. And that was just one of the biggest things I think that really hit me, is that even though I know that that's a very low probability of that happening in my life or to me, I know that it's still there. It could happen in my life if I decide to have a child, if I get in a car wreck. Anything could go wrong to where I might need one. I read so much about the interpretation of the scriptures that they got this doctrine from, and it doesn't add up. It doesn't add up at all, and it is one of their biggest flaws. So let's say you're at the hospital and you are in a life or death situation, and the only thing that can save your life is a blood transfusion. They will send brothers, elders, to your hospital room, and they will read you scriptures. They will encourage you to not take the blood transfusion, that you will be okay, you will wake up in paradise, it will be fine. This breaks my heart. But if you refuse that blood transfusion and you die, you're saved by God, whatever. If you accept the blood transfusion, you choose life, then you are shunned. Then and there, the moment you decide to take it, or the moment you do take it, and you are just completely shunned and excommunicated from the religion, and no one will talk to you. I mean, like, that's nuts. Even though I know that the probability is low of that happening in my life, I know that it's still there, and I don't agree with it, so why? If one card falls, they all fall, in my opinion. If we think about a pyramid made of cards, right? The most important doctrines on the bottom, that is one of the most important doctrines. And if I pull that card, doesn't make sense. Doesn't add up. Not enough research about it, there's not enough proof. Then they all fall. That was definitely my biggest wake-up call, was that I know if that were to happen to me one day, or my child, and that was the only way to save my life or their life, yes, I would give it to them. Of course I would. So why waste my whole life if one of the most important doctrines I don't agree with? But still, for 3 years, I pushed this to the back of my mind, in and out. About 2 years in of me just like pretending that everything's fine, I'm kind of going through life struggling with this, right? Because I love how connected I am to people. I love the community. It's a big safety net. If you need anything, they're there. You just, as a witness, you grow up knowing hundreds and hundreds of people. I mean, that's really hard to give up. It was really hard to give up, actually, but I did give it up. When I left, it's really kind of blurry. I think I blocked out a lot of that time because I was just so stressed. I had no idea what I was going to do, and it's really hard for me to remember. This is like October 2018. Me and my friend, one of my best friends, we went to Mexico together, where I had just spent 2 years serving. I had a lot of stuff there. I lived there usually half of the year or more. Like, we flew into Cancun, we went down to like Playa, Tulum. Anyway, while I was there, I dislocated my knee. It was awful. I had a really hot doctor give me a shot in my butt, hopping around in Mexico on crutches. So I flew back home. I can't drive, I can't go anywhere. So I literally just like sit in my room for a month, and I start watching YouTube videos again, and I was like, this is it. I can't go. I can't do it. I don't know, something just clicked, something was different. Something was different. My family will probably come across this video, which is so weird to me, but because we don't talk. But I remember after about 3 to 4 weeks of sitting in my room on my bed with my crutches, my knee was getting better and I could probably drive. It was a Sunday, and my dad comes in my room and asked me if I'm going to meeting. And I was like, no, I don't think so. And this is when I had already decided that I definitely didn't want to go to meetings anymore. I needed to make a change. We went to different congregations at this time, around this time, and I said no, and he got so mad. And my dad, I love my dad to death, but he is very, he doesn't get mad often. He's more like a, I'm disappointed in you kind of dad, which everyone knows hurts worse, honestly, which took me by surprise because he's never said anything like this to me before. He said, as long as you live under my house, you go to meeting. I was like, crap. like I'm not gonna get grounded if I don't go, but you know, anyone who has a dad that's like a disappointed dad, like, you know, you feel bad. So I get up and I go. That was the last meeting I ever went to, and it was like every other one, but when you're there for the last time and like no one there knows it and you don't know it, it's just kind of weird. I was looking at apartments downtown, and of course the only ones that I could afford were like pretty sketchy. I texted my dad an apartment that I was looking at downtown. Why are you looking at apartments? Like, why do you want to move out? And I texted back, and it was while he was at work, and I said, because I know that if I don't go to meetings anymore, that I probably can't live here. And he didn't reply. He came home, didn't talk about it. We didn't talk about it for like 3 or 4 days. So weeks go on, and my parents aren't really saying much. We talk about it a little bit. I think everyone was kind of hoping it was just a phase. I think they kind of wanted my sister to talk to me, and I talked to my mom a lot too. It became pretty clear a few months later that it wasn't a phase. You know, I was staying out a lot later. I was staying the night over at friends' houses that weren't witnesses. You know, I just wasn't home a lot. I had no idea what to do. I should have been saving. That's what I should have been doing. I should have been saving, but I didn't. The only people I'm talking to are my parents, my sister, and it was shocking to me how many people knew what was going on or knew how I was feeling, either from social media, they could tell, or from like something my parents had said, my sister, her friends. Like I said, everyone knows each other, so everyone's so connected. And I was surprised at how many people did not reach out to me. Not even the woman that helped me get baptized. And that hurt, you know, it hurt a lot. And honestly, I don't know if it would have made a difference when I left. It definitely would have made it a lot harder. So I'm glad in that sense that they didn't, but it hurt a lot, you know? It's really sad because my sister and my mom, sister mainly, mentioned how, like, why can't you just not talk about it? Why couldn't you just fade away? Like, why do you have to do this? Like, why are you doing it this way? What? Like, understand where she was coming from. However, I can't do that. Because if I just fade away, then I can't have either life. You know, I don't have a JW life, and I don't have a normal life. A life that I can talk about or be proud of or be myself. You would just still be living your life in private. Which I know people that have done that, and I don't blame them at all for choosing that way because they still have their family. I made a choice not to have my family in order to have myself fully, and with that comes pros and cons, and for me it had more pros than cons. I was secretly one of my girlfriends from high school that I still kept in touch with. She always invited me to like go to church with her and stuff, and I never really accepted, but one day I did. And I went to this church, and it was a non-denominational Christian church. and I felt so weird about it. One, because I knew, like, I was still living in my parents' house and I was nervous that they would find out that I was going. And then second, I had never been in a church that wasn't a Kingdom Hall of Jehovah's Witnesses before, which is the name of their churches. And so I go and I sat down and I made a little prayer to myself. At the time I was still pretty, had faith, I guess you could say. I made a little prayer, just said, show me a sign that it's okay that I be here. Because this is what they deem beautiful. This is their faith. This is how they show love. So in the next sermon, this woman comes up, Melissa, and one of like the head pastors at the church. And I hope I get that title right, because I don't know how other terminology works, honestly. But anyway, she got up there and she said Jehovah like 3 times in her sermon, or like Yahweh. And that just like blew my mind, because as a witness, you grow up thinking no one knows that. No one knows God's name. No one knows that. No one uses it. So it was like I just had this like a relief. And that was really cool. Honestly, right now, I don't really think of myself as religious or even really like have faith. I'm not really sure, I think that's a lifelong journey for people. And so there, she, and this is getting long, but she introduces me to a couple people, introduces me to a girl named Abby. Like, she has an extra room in her house. She's been looking for a roommate, and she put me in this like book club too. I'm forever grateful for that, because I met the people that got me through 2019 and that helped me get through leaving being a witness. So I moved in with Abby. Bless her heart. She rented me a room for like $250 a month, like nothing. I went from living on the south side, moved to the north side in Broad Ripple. I got a job. I dated, casually dated for the first time in my life. Ordained a wedding. I met my friends Ashley and Elisa, and like I had a great freaking time. There's like so much to this entire story. Everyone's just introducing me to like this whole new life. Before I moved out in March of 2019, I had already met everyone that was going to be pretty vital in my support system in this new phase of my life. And that is so important. That is so important. I was watching a 1XJW video, and one of their things was like, build up your support system before you leave. And I am so glad that I did that. That is my number one advice to anybody thinking about leaving or that wants to leave, that's really worried about that, and ways you can do that. I met 2 of my 4 I've met like 3 or 4 of my best girlfriends on Bumble BFF. You want to set yourself up for success as much as you can. Felt so much love when I was so worried about not having any. But I also think it's important to note that my transition from being a very active social JW to moving out and having the group that I had was very slow, and it all happened at the right time. There were a lot of waking up moments for me. I could name a dozen. Really, they don't mean anything until you let it process and you decide how you want to deal with it. I mean, even my mom can just see how much happier I am because I'm living a more authentic life and I'm being my more authentic self. However, there will still always be a little bit of sadness because I, of course, lost so many people. And growing up as a witness, you're used to so many people being in your life. However, there's a big, beautiful world out there for you to see and experience, and things for you to do that you can do with no judgment, no repercussions, some repercussions depending on what you choose to do. But you can live a life that is your own You can live a life that you choose and that you create. And life gets even more beautiful when you realize it's yours and that you can do anything with it. It's nuts. It's really freaking nuts. And even though I miss my family, and if they happen to see this, I want them to know that I love them and that I miss them. And I always will. However, there's a beauty to living your life with only people that are going to support what you're doing, and they want to see you happy, and it doesn't matter if you don't believe in the same thing. It doesn't matter what you believe in. And it's okay for your opinion to change, for your beliefs to change, for you to change. It's okay. And even though I will always have an appreciation for that life, I think it's important to speak out against it as well. Over the past 2 years, it's really become clear to me that I believe in politics. I think voting is important. I think being 50-50 with a partner is important. I don't think women are less than men. Life is really beautiful. Having opinions is beautiful. Having a mind of your own is beautiful. Being able to speak your mind is beautiful. It's a beautiful way of life. I can, in general, post whatever I want, say whatever I want, listen to whatever music I want, watch whatever TV I want without being judged if it's rated R or what it's about, or if it has conflicting opinions, or if it has gay people in it, which they should, because they should be represented in media. Like, there are so many things that is more beautiful in life than what is given to you. Then you should fight for it and you should explore it. And basically, I'm just here to tell you that you can explore it, and you will find amazing things when you do explore it, and you will meet amazing people that will change your mind. I might do another video of the doctrine that, the conflicts in doctrine that made me leave, or just like top 10 things that really woke me up. However, for now, all I have to say is I hope that in sharing this with you, either if you already know me, that helps you understand me a little bit better, or it helps if you are thinking about leaving and you feel like you won't have anybody, you'll have me. Already, there's so many great people for you to meet in life, and there are so many things for you to do and places for you to go. All that's waiting for you, and I'm here when you want to talk. You can go on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram. There's so many resources for you to use. Some days are going to be really hard still. There are days where I definitely think about my family and I get sad, or I think about my old friend group and like the friends I grew up with and how I wish I could talk to them now, but I can't. But there are also really good days. There are really, really good days, and it outweighs the bad. And live a life worth all the hard moments, because there are definitely a lot of them. Live a life that is just a slap in the face to the Watchtower organization and saying that you couldn't make it, or that you wouldn't be happy, or that you just or just that you wouldn't be successful. Every smile that you have, every good day that you have, every place that you visit, all the friends that you'll meet, that's what's waiting for you. Yeah, I think that's all that I have to say, really. If you're still with me, thank you so much for watching, and thank you for your support. And go out there and be support for someone else, because this happens not only to Jehovah's Witnesses, ex-Jehovah's Witnesses, but it happens to Mormons, Scientologists, LGBTQ community. It happens to literally so many people, and it's really fucked up. So I'm here